Hello everybody and welcome back for some weekly VR news. As always, I am Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. Lately, it feels like someone reached out and cranked the new VR game knob up to 11. Now I know last week I promised we'd get some cool surprises and it looks like I didn't disappoint, but we're actually getting even more games than I expected. So today, just like normal, we'll go over all of this week's new game releases, updates, and we'll dive into all of those juicy new announcements. On top of that, Steam Next Fest will have 32 different VR games for you to demo next week. So what started out looking like a very slow year for VR games has officially pulled a complete 180. Now there are of course links and timestamps if you want to skip ahead in this video. Well, let's start things off like normal with the check-in, and that's what have I been up to in the VR world? Well, I'm about to leave for AWE. And actually, when you're watching this video, I'm there. I'm in California right now, hopefully enjoying some nice weather. Now, if you're not familiar with AWE, it is the Augmented World Expo. It's the biggest showing of VR tech. Now, there's also going to be a bunch of games there, but it's mostly tech. So I'm going to see things like X-Real and Play for Dream and a couple other more like nuanced things. I saw there's some like brain interfaces on the list. So I'm really excited. Obviously, I'm going to be telling you guys all about that. And yeah, I'm right now just trying to burn through Zombie Army VR as quick as possible. I will have a video up on Wednesday, probably not a full review. I doubt I'll get through the whole game, but I made a good dent already. So it's going to be at least a first impressions, and I have access on all platforms, so I can do a little comparison there. So if you're interested in that, come back. But for now, let's get into this week's new releases. And as I already mentioned, Zombie Army VR will be releasing on all platforms this Thursday, June 12th. Due to the excessive delays, I've mentioned this game about 50 different times, so we don't need to go into much detail here. It's a World War II zombie shooter that takes place in the Zombie Army VR series. It's a completely new storyline rather than a port of one of the existing games, very similar to what Rebellion did with Sniper Elite VR, and at this point I'm just repeating myself, so if you want more information, come back on Wednesday for when I cover this game. But if Zombie Army is just a little bit too arcadey for you, and you want to push deeper into the whole horror theme, well, Ovrdark is making its way onto the meta quest. This is another one of those jump scare filled horror themed games where you find yourself trapped in a mansion. In Ovrdark, your former companion becomes your most ruthless enemy as he constantly stalks you throughout this game. This is another one of those extra creepy, jump scare filled, horror themed games, and it looks like they took serious inspiration from some of the Resident Evil titles. It's almost like they grabbed the mansion from Resident Evil 8, but gave you more of the creepy atmosphere and gameplay from Resident Evil 7. Now the game previously released on Steam VR, where it sits with mixed reviews, but it has a very solid 4.4 on the PlayStation VR 2. Now, I personally never got around to playing through this game, but I did hear some really good things about it. And last up, we have something for the Beat Saber fans, as this title continues to get more and more popular songs. And this time it's Lady Gaga's Abracadabra. So for $1.99, you can ooh la la pick this game up on any of the current VR platforms. Now personally, I just love the fact that Beat Games is consistently able to get so many high-profile licensed songs, especially when they're near the peak of their popularity. But let's move on to something even cooler, the fact that Steam Next Fest is dropping 32 VR demos on us next week. Now I'm sure a good portion of them won't be fantastic, but there are a bunch of high-profile titles like Ghost Town, Wanderer Fragments of Fate, and Lies of Rain that I'm sure you guys will want to test out. Now if by some odd chance you're not familiar with those games, Ghost Town is a story-driven puzzle experience from the same team that gave us the Room VR, and I have to say, as of right now, it's one of the best VR games I've played in 2025. Now, the PC version of Wanderer Fragments of Fate also has the potential to be a Game of the Year contender, as long as it looks and runs better than the Quest version. And finally, Lies of Rain is this unique sci-fi themed shooter that pretty much came out of nowhere. You'll find yourself fighting across this post-apocalyptic world that sits between the edge of reality and some sort of digital realm. Now, I absolutely love titles that take us to unique new places, and overall the combat looks pretty solid and a little reminiscent of Half-Life Alyx, so I'm definitely excited to jump into this one. But on top of those games, there's still 29 more demos to try out. I find it pretty likely that there'll be a hidden gem in there, so if you guys end up playing anything really cool during Next Fest, please let me know what it is down in the comments on a future video. But now let's get to the really exciting stuff, guys. Last week, I made a little tease at the end of my video, said, there's some surprises coming, guys. And I actually only knew about 90% of them. I knew we were getting a game from Maze Theory, but I did not know it was going to be Thief VR. I also knew some other stuff, but we'll get into that in just a second. Now, why I'm so excited about a Thief VR game coming is, Well, one, that game was just meant for VR. If you're not familiar with that series, it's a classic series. You know, I grew up playing those games a billion years ago, and it's all about stealth, creeping around, sneaking up on guys, knocking them out, picking locks, catching some loot. It's kind of like it was made for VR. I think the atmosphere is going to be fantastic, and as long as they nail it, like the mechanics and the atmosphere, it should be such a great game. But I'm also more excited because you're getting the combination of Maze Theory, which does a great job of world building. They did Doctor Who on the Edge of Nowhere, and they also did Peaky Blinders. They do a great job of, you know, world building and puzzles. And then you have Vertigo Games, who knows how to deliver high fidelity graphics, solid combat. If you don't know them, it's Arizona Sunshine, it's Metro. So I think we're going to get the graphics of Metro and Arizona Sunshine with some of the refined storytelling and puzzle solving from a Maze Theory game. They also did the Infinite Inside, which is an absolutely fantastic mixed reality puzzle experience. So I'm super excited for that game. But that's just the tip of the iceberg of announcements we got lately. We did go over the fact that we got the announcement of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. That one's far out. That's a 4-person co-op. Excited, it should be fun. But I was also sitting on the latest information for Battlemarked, which is the new Demeo D&D style game. I'm already a massive fan of both Demeo and Dungeons & Dragons, and I was extremely happy when I heard the game would be releasing this year. Previously, I thought we were going to be waiting until 2026. Now, if you're not familiar with Demeo, it is a co-op tabletop experience with some really refined combat mechanics. My only real complaint about the title was the fact that it's limited to just a dungeon crawl. There's 2 levels of fighting smaller enemies and then a boss fight, and pretty much every chapter of the game plays out the same. Yes, there are different traps, different enemies, different bosses, and the overall aesthetic changes, but mechanically it remains the same and there's no real backstory. Well, now they're completely fixing that, as this is an officially licensed Dungeons & Dragons game. We are talking about decades of lore, iconic characters and enemies, and this time they're focusing on a story-driven experience. Now, we're yet to hear more about the combat system or any type of leveling, but this looks like way more than a reskinned Demeo. And now, just this weekend, from one of my favorite studios, nDreams, we are getting what they're calling their most ambitious title yet, Reach. It kind of looks like a combination between Fract and Mirror's Edge with like unique parkour, sci-fi enemies, really cool environments and weapons. You're jumping around, you're fighting these creatures. I'm pumped. I absolutely loved Fract. I love Synapse. And I love the style of games they make. They're just fast-paced, action-oriented, and the fact that they're calling this like their most ambitious and biggest title yet. Hell yeah, I'm pumped for this. Not too much known just yet, but from what I've played previously from them, I'm excited. The only game I wasn't blown away with was their stealth canoe game, but there was nothing actually wrong with the game, it just didn't resonate with me. And I've actually heard plenty of people call me crazy when I said I didn't really like that game. And finally, if you're someone who's just looking for more casual games, we also got announcements for Lumines Arise and Hidden Memories of the Gardens Between. At first glance, Lumines Arise reminded me of the absolutely fantastic Tetris Effect, and that makes sense because it comes from the same developer. Once again, this is a fusion of lighting effects, music, and addictive puzzle gameplay mechanics. If you never got around to trying Tetris Effect, I highly recommend it, and it looks like this title will scratch the same itch, but take it even further. And last up, we have another beautiful puzzle game with Hidden Memories of the Garden Between. In order to help navigate this world, you'll need to build, paint, and even warp time. And you know how I previously mentioned we might have some hidden gems in this next fest? Well, it looks like the Garden Between will actually be one of them, because you could demo the PC version next week. Now, normally I would say this isn't my style, but it looks absolutely brilliant, and I really want to give it a try. And that right there was today's news. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Make sure to leave me some feedback down in the comments. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I'm really close to 100K, and I can't wait to get there, guys. Thank you for all of your support.